with me is Rick Yarosh, who is and has become a good friend. And I am so honored to have Rick with me on the air, returning. And you're remote this time, Rick. Where the hell are you?
I am. This is the vacation edition. So I'm on vacation in the Poconos in Pennsylvania.
Are you serious? You're doing this while you're on vacation, buddy?
Listen, this might be more of a vacation than the vacation. I don't hear any background noise right now. It's beautiful.
Oh, man. Listen, I always look forward to having you in the studio. You've been in several times, and I look forward to having you back in here, buddy, and giving you just a giant bear hug.
I might miss the couch more than I miss you, JD. I love that couch.
Yeah, isn't that couch amazing?
It's amazing. I miss it. That's what I wish I was sitting right now.
Dude, I'm so, when I got the email from Leon that you were going to be my guest this morning, I was so excited, buddy. I'm so happy. I already know what to say with you, buddy. I mean, it's like I don't even need any prep notes. By the way, did you catch Heather last week or the week before?
I did not.
What an amazing lady. Oh, my God.
I didn't need to watch to know that. That's the thing.
Yeah. Teacher, athletes, positivity with a capital P, that lady. Oh, my God, man.
Yeah.
You and your team, and there's so many of you, and I don't think I've had all of you on the air yet. You guys are just amazing. You are just crushing it, brother.
Well, I appreciate it. I think we have to get Abby on the show.
Yes.
Abby says absolutely not, but Abby is my goal to get on the show.
Tell us about Abby. I mean, she brings almost pretty much everything that you guys do in schools. Yeah. She brings it to the viewing audience on social media.
That's right. She has been doing this for a very long time with us. I don't know how old she was when she started with us, but she used to travel with us every single day. She was in the hotels with us and at the schools with us. I think maybe it might have been when she was 15 or 16 years old. So Abby's like a little sister of mine, and I just she does so much for the group, and she just wants to be quiet off to the side. She doesn't want to be on the podcast.
Right.
She's putting out all the social media stuff, all the videos that are made. Really amazing stuff.
But here's the thing, and you all know this, especially Tom, but it's one thing to have such an incredible impact in schools and bring your message and see and experience the results of what you're having with children. But it's another thing to take all of that and to spread it on the internet and show people not just that were there at that school what's happening, but people everywhere. And that's how you guys have spread. And without Abby, there would be a limit here, big time.
Yeah, we'd have a small cluster in New York, or maybe a small cluster in Vermont as well. But because of all the social media stuff that's gone out, all the videos that have been put together, all the promotional videos that we've made with the Chevy dealers and some other people along the way that have been big helpers in the Sweethearts and Heroes world, like she put all that together. And if it didn't happen, we wouldn't be. I mean, we say 2 million students around that we've spoke to. That number wouldn't be 2 million. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I want to talk about your book, of course, abridged named Amos, but I want our listeners to learn a little bit about you.
Sure.
They may not be familiar with Rick Yarosh, and I think there's a little bit of maybe some competition between you and Tom of who's known more, who's known better, you or Tom Murphy.
Who's known better about what? Everything?
Just who's more famous?
Oh, who's more famous? Oh,
Yeah.
Who's known more? I got you.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought you were saying who knows more, and I'm like,
well, we already know that's you.
Yeah, there you go. I wasn't even going to say that because Tom is the most like well-read person I've ever met, truly. Um, but if we're going there, it's kind of crazy too because Tom had the UFC career and all that stuff. But this is not a face you forget. Um, Sometimes it's in your nightmares, but hopefully it's in your dreams. But this is not a face that's forgotten when people are. I don't run into many people and they're like, I think I've seen you before.
Mm,
Like, oh yeah, I know you. I've seen you before. Not something that's like, oh wow, I don't know if I've seen you. Maybe there was somebody that looks like you.
yeah,
So I guess I'm more famous.
you were burned alive, and I want to push the word alive because you're so very much alive.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it almost seems like in some ways part of your message is that you're more alive now than you may have been before this incident, which was a roadside bomb when you were overseas fighting in the army for the United States.
Yeah, I think it's well said. Really, more alive today than I was before, and you've heard it before. I've said it's the best thing that has ever happened to me. I certainly didn't want it to happen, but it did, and there's nothing I can do about that. And yeah, I've gotten a lot of rewards out of it. But yeah, I am more alive. I'm prouder of who I am today. I'm just so I get thank you for your service all the time, just because of my service to the country, and I appreciate that. I would never tell anybody, "Hey, don't say that." That's I appreciate it, but I it's even more important when people recognize the service that I'm doing today. Like, and that should be everybody. Past service is amazing and great, but you can't live your life on past services. So it's like, what are we doing today? What are we doing today to serve? And because of what happened to me, it's given me just an amazing opportunity to continue serving in this world.
And what you're doing and how you're serving with Sweethearts and Heroes and how you met Tom and how you've connected in with this organization and what you're doing and the message you're bringing to children in schools and so many others. And we're going to talk about what you've recently done, of course, this morning. But man, it's like when I see you and I chat with you, one of the things that crosses my mind is how many veterans are walking around who don't have the exterior obvious damage that you have. The very obvious scars, but internally they're not living like you are right now. They're not walking around with an immense amount of positivity and hope. They're walking around with discouragement, with a big, beautiful, or handsome smile on their face.
I have a good buddy of mine from Ohio, and he doesn't look injured, but he certainly was. He has he has PTSD. He has a traumatic brain injury, and he also has about 300 pieces of shrapnel that you can't see because they're covered by his clothes. But he's dealing with a lot in life, and I would say that he and anyone else who is dealing with post traumatic stress is dealing with a lot more than I am. But when him and I are together and we're standing there and we're having a conversation, and somebody will come up to me and always say, "Hey man, thank you so much for your service and your sacrifice." And they don't even look at my friend Paul. They don't even look at him.
Wow.
And it's frustrating, and I know he's feeling it. I know he doesn't really say it. He won't come out with that, but I know he's feeling it. And him and I can joke about it later on. And I say, I always want to put a shirt on that says he was injured too, and have an arrow pointing at him because, like, I don't know, like I certainly do appreciate when people do come up and say those things. So he would as well. But yeah, he didn't have any visible wounds that you can see when you first walk up to him. So, in my mind, him and so many other people who are dealing with post traumatic stress are just dealing with so much more than I am. I say that when I look in the mirror, like I'm looking at myself right now, and I know exactly who I am. And somebody with post traumatic stress, they can look in the mirror and they see a person, and it's like they don't recognize who they are. They don't know what their purpose is in life. They don't know all those things. And that's crazy to me. And I know that I'm super blessed that I do not have to deal with that. And so many people do.
You say that something happened to you, and of course it did. And the story about what happened is incredibly graphic. You were covered in diesel fuel. You were burning alive. You tried to get out of the Bradley vehicle that you were in. Essentially, what is that vehicle anyway?
They call it, I say it's a small tank,
Yeah.
but in the military, a tanker, I actually said it in front of a tanker the other day, and afterwards they're like, that is not a tank. I said, I know, but the majority of the people I'm talking to aren't tankers.
Yeah.
So I can call it whatever I want because that's what it looks like.
Sure.
But it's an APC. It's called an Armored Personnel Carrier.
It's big. And you had a close friend of yours, a fellow soldier who was next to you who didn't make it. You tried to get out of the top of this vehicle while you were on fire and fell, badly broke your leg, and then rolled down an embankment, still burning, into like roadside swamp.
Sewage, basically. I mean, really, it's like swamp sewage. They don't have where we were actually. Anyways, in Iraq, they didn't have plumbing like everybody else, and when they went to the bathroom in their house or outside of their house, they would dig a hole and use the bathroom out there, or they had a hole in there, but it didn't run to a sewage treatment plant. It ran into the local canals. I mean, that was just how it works. So, all that runoff from all that stuff that's coming into that canal where I was, it was not good. Yeah.
It's now going right into your body, making an horrific situation, which frankly is just alone deadly. And now you're receiving all of this infectious material into your body. I mean, listen,
you can say the word, it's infectious.
Yeah.
Literally.
How
it's all insult to injury, really.
Go ahead.
I was on fire, but then the reason I have a prosthetic leg is because I had to jump off of the vehicle and I broke my leg. Like, the fire wasn't enough. Then I break my leg, and then I roll into a canal, which saves my life. So obviously I would, we talk about that. I would do it again. But it also almost killed me because of all the disgusting stuff in that canal. I had so many things in the hospital happen too. Like I was on dialysis at one point because my kidneys stopped working, and they brought the dialysis machine in, and the dialysis machine stopped working. So then they had to get another one, and it was like the time to get it was not good. And this is early on, I was a mess. And then my kidneys started working on their own again. I don't know how my eyes weren't more affected than they are. I lost a little bit of vision in my right eye, but I just, like, all of these things that had happened, the whole everything happens for a reason saying, I don't know how much I buy that. I've told you that before, but man, the fact that I can still see, the fact that I can still talk, the fact that, I don't have ears, but I can still hear, the fact that I don't have a nose, I can still smell, my hands, they lost the feeling in them, but I can still use them. I don't know. I'm just super, super blessed.
Isn't that something else? Did you ever wish that you had passed?
I think in the hospital, for sure. I think there were days that it was like, this is too much. Thinking back, like when I go through, I tell my story and I tell, hey, I was injured in Iraq and I jumped off a vehicle and I broke my leg and I rolled into a canal. And like that's the part of the story. But if I really break it down to every single day in the hospital, and there's 5 or 6 stories for every single day. I was in the hospital for 6 months. So, there's thousands of stories just, and when I really break it down and I think about all of those little incidents in the hospital and the hopelessness that I felt on certain days, like, it's crazy to me to think that I'm still here. And but it also makes me remember how rough it really was at that time. Like I say, I would go through it again to get back to this point in my life. But when I break it down to the seconds of being in that hospital, man, it's so hard to really think that because it was brutal. It was brutal.
For years. And I just it's like, something horrible happened to you, and it didn't just go away the next day. I mean, this horrible thing was weighing down on top of you, trying to pull every ounce of life and hope and everything
Yeah. Also,
out of your soul.
in knowing, if I am going to survive this, knowing if I'm going to survive this, I'm going to have to live with it the rest of my life in some capacity. So I think that was a part of it too.
So this happened to you, Rick, but something else happened, and it's like usually when something like this happens, it just the residual is not great.
Mhm.
But there was something else that happened to you, and I don't know what the hell it was. I don't know if it was an awakening. I don't know if it was spiritual. I don't know what happened, but at some point, I'm guessing you had an epiphany. You had something much, much bigger than an epiphany, where you had to make a decision that, man, I'm either going to take a hard left or a hard right here, and I'm going to go 100 miles an hour in whichever direction I go in.
I think once I figured out that I could share my story, is when I think this might be the first time I've ever said this, because I always like trying to point it to a point in that recovery where it all changed for me. And I told the little girl story that many people have heard. And like, that's a moment. And a book I read by Randy Posh called The Last Lecture, there's a point in that book that things changed. But I don't know. I think when I started to speak and started to share my story is when I truly changed my mindset, because that's when I realized that, I could help people. And in the end, what I really got, and this is something we talk about all the time, is I got purpose. I found who I was again, and it was a different me, but it was still my purpose, and it's my purpose. One of my purposes today. I have many, and we should all have many, not just one, because if something happens to that one purpose and you don't have another, that's a
Sure.
tough situation to be in.
You're a father, you're a husband, and you're also maybe even your own best friend. You have to look to yourself at the end of the day and cherish what you have, but also be true to yourself in that that if the shit hits the fan again for
Mm-hmm.
you in any capacity, that you're going to be able to not only survive it, but also flourish beyond it.
For sure. I mean, and I'm gonna get this so wrong because I'm terrible at quoting things, but in the Bible it says that like difficult things, we're supposed to rejoice over those things, and when you do, it creates it's not longevity, but it's like that, and that's where I'm at today. Like I know that if I deal with something difficult again, I'm going to be okay. And that's the longevity. That's the endurance. Endurance is the word. That's the endurance that I have now, because I went through something extremely difficult. I always say, if I was lit on fire again tomorrow, I pray to God that doesn't happen. But if I did and I survived it, I would be okay. And I would be okay a lot sooner than I was last time. It took years for me to be okay when this happened. But this time, it won't, because I recognize that there will be good things. Sure, the struggle is going to be really, really hard, but that's what struggle is. But in the end, it's going to be totally fine, and even better than totally fine, really.
And look how blessed you are. You have a beautiful wife. You have beautiful children. And you're connected in with a family of friends before anything else through Sweethearts and Heroes. They're colleagues, but they're friends more than anything. I mean, these people that love you and surround you and are part of your team are tremendous.
Yeah, they're family. I mean, and JD, you're a part of that family too. Honestly, like, I'm not afraid to lean on people. I am not. I'm not going to put too much on people. Like, I try not to do that, but I'm not afraid if I'm struggling, man, to lean on people, because I know that I didn't get to where I am today on my own. That just didn't happen. That happened because there were so many people that helped me get through it. Now, sure, you have to have strength yourself, and you have to have the desire to get better, but we need people in our lives to help us get through things. And that's what the Sweethearts message is. That's the hope that the Sweethearts give.
Sure.
But yeah, I got this amazing family, and JD, like I said, you're one of them. Like, if I'm struggling, I'm not going to be afraid to lean on you a little bit. And I hope you feel the same way.
Yeah, I do. I do. We don't have to go through an event like this that you went through to have very bad days. So many of us are going through some form of hardship, even though we're not scarred on the outside. We've got a nice house, a nice roof over our head. We got a good job, maybe, but there's something that's dying inside of us, something that's disconnected inside of us, and we're walking around with a lack of hope. Do you ever, taking your story of your incident out of it, do you ever have moments like that have nothing to do with what happened to you, where you're just having a really bad time in life?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not even really bad days sometimes. It's a really bad long moments of days and weeks and months. And I was just about to say that. I knew where you were gonna go with that, because that's real. I share a really good story, and I share this message of hope, and I do all that. But man, even when I'm on that stage giving that message, there are times where I'm like, can I even deliver that message? I would tell you that's also the time that I should be delivering that message, and it's the most important to me, because and at that point, it's me helping myself. Like, these are your words, Rick. Man, live by them. It's going to be okay. It truly is. Like, something that I said that I've been saying a lot recently is, life is hard, but it's good. It's good. Even when it's really, really difficult, it's good, and it is going to be okay. And okay doesn't always look like what we think it is going to look like, or we want it to look like, but it's going to be okay. If you believe it's going to be okay, it will be okay.
There's so many of us that are like, hold on a second. You're asking me to get up on stage in front of hundreds or even thousands of people and speak? Are you serious? That brings me massive anxiety. You have to, you don't have to, but you do this knowing that when you walk into a school, or you walk into an auditorium, or in any kind of theater, or anywhere where you and Sweethearts and Heroes are bringing your message, that when you walk onto stage, when you're in front of so many eyes looking back at you, that there's a whoa factor. I mean, when people see Tom and how handsome he is and his big muscles and all that stuff,
Fake.
there's a whoa factor there too. But when people see you, you know what's in their mind. You know what they're thinking. Holy shit, what's going on here?
Yeah. It's Tom has always been into the entertainment of it. Like, we know we have to entertain people, and I have a hard time with that. Like, I am very simple. I just really am. Like, I want to go in. I want to be standing on stage when they introduce me, and hey, here's Rick Yarosh. But Tom, he's got his video in the beginning, which I love, and then he comes out, he runs out at the end of the video, and then halfway through the presentation, another video plays, and I'm backstage, and then I come out. I didn't ever want to do that because, like, it's just, I don't know, it's just silly to me. Now it's not. I understand the importance of it. So I, present on my own sometimes, and I used to just be on stage. Like I said, I want to. It's just easier that way. And then I was like, you know what? This is not the way it's supposed to be done. There has to be some kind of grab. And I'm enough of a grab, like being on stage anyways, because they see the way I look. But when I do my presentation on my own, there's a picture of me on the screen, and it says "Retired Army Sergeant Rick Yarosh," and it's an old picture of me before my injury in my Army uniform, my BDUs or my ACUs. And then the introduction happens. I'm not up on stage. So people just think, okay, it's going to be this Army guy who was in the military, and he's going to tell us a good story. And then the video plays of me walking for the first time, an explosion in the beginning of the vehicle. So they're surprised by that. And then at the end of the video, I actually get up on the stage. So they think that this military guy is going to come and just talk. And then they see me and they're like, whoa. And then I stand on stage for 30 seconds and I just stare into the crowd and I don't say anything at all. And it is so uncomfortable and it is so awesome. And I can just, they don't know anything about me. They don't know if I can talk. They don't know if something's wrong. They just don't, I'm afraid. They have no clue what's going on. But I create this really uncomfortable situation. And the importance of it is, what is 30 seconds? You ask that question and 30 seconds is 30 seconds, but does it always feel that way? It certainly doesn't. So 30 seconds can go really fast if you're having fun, or 30 seconds can feel like a lifetime if you're in a really uncomfortable situation. So I created this 30 seconds of uncomfortability, and just to show how long 30 seconds can be. And then I say, the reason I'm really talking about 30 seconds is because that's how long I was on fire. So that's how long I was burning alive before the fire was extinguished by that water. So it gives people an understanding of how long 30 seconds can really be and really feel.
What are the first words out of your mouth?
Are you uncomfortable yet? That's the first words. And everybody kind of chuckles. Are you uncomfortable yet? And I said, that's my job in this world, is to make people uncomfortable, because in the end, that's the only way to become comfortable. You got to be uncomfortable first to be comfortable. So I'm going to get that out of the way. And then I go into the talk about what 30 seconds really is. But yeah, my first thing is, are you uncomfortable yet?
It's one thing to step out on stage in front of adults, school staff, administration.
Easy.
It's a whole nother bag, I'm guessing, to present yourself in front of young children.
Yeah, little ones and middle schoolers.
And middle schoolers.
And high schoolers.
The way they react, the way they feel, this is something that's really profound. And what is that?
It's an amazing feeling, honestly, now. But in the beginning, it wasn't. Like those kids, when they first see me, I mean, I can see the little ones, especially. You see the fear in some of their eyes. Some of it's just wonder, which is amazing because that's what kids are full of. They're full of wonder. But there's fear in some of the kids' eyes too. And when I see a little kid in the room that is fearful, my job is them. And I'm going to focus on them, and I'm going to get them out of that zone, that uncomfortable zone. And usually very quickly it changes. And I can see the change, and my mission is accomplished for that one kid. Then I can concentrate on the rest of the room. But middle schoolers, they're just surprised, like, whoa. First of all, they're surprised that I'm even there, because when Tom introduces, they don't know I'm there. They just see a video, and then all of a sudden there I am on stage, and they're like, oh my gosh, he's actually here. So I don't know. I just love it. I just love it. And then I get to connect with them. That's truly my job in this world, is just connecting with people.
Yeah.
And looking the way I look, I just I'm really good at it now, and it's hard. I think people have a hard time understanding that I would be good at connecting with people, but I've made it my job. I think it's extremely important in my life. If I can't connect with people, then how do I get a message across?
What's the story of that little girl?
Yeah, so in a restaurant, gosh, probably 8 months after my injury, about 2 months after I got out of the hospital, you know, still very new to me going out in public, but it was very obvious to me that children were terrified of me. Like, I mean, I wish I had a picture of me right now of what I looked like right after I got out of the hospital. It wasn't like this. My skin wasn't smooth and shiny. It was open and red, and it looked awful. It really did. It was scary. Even to adults, it was scary in a certain way. You imagine what a monster is, and you could maybe take me, and that's what it looked like. So kids were afraid of me. It was obvious. Like, I'd go out in public, they'd run away, hide behind their parents. And this little girl in the restaurant saw me sitting with she was sitting with her grandfather, and she was staring at me, and I could see that she was afraid of me. But her grandfather saw the same thing, and he actually asked her quietly. Now, at this point, I mean, I was listening and seeing everything. 2 months after the hospital, like, I'm still in kind of a little bit in Iraq mode, like war mode. You're still aware of everything, but also I was aware because of the way I looked, and I was bummed that people thought the way they did, or kids thought the way they did. So I was really in tune with it. So this grandfather whispered to her very quietly, but I heard him, and he said, "Go say hi to him." Now, she didn't want to come over, and I totally understood that. I didn't want her really to come over either, because I knew how it would end. She's afraid. But he did it again. And he said, "Go say hi to him." And this time she did start to come over. But when she got halfway over, I didn't want her to come all the way over. She was too uncomfortable. So when she got halfway over, I said, "Hey, how you doing?" But when I said that, is what happened was what I expected. She stopped dead in her tracks, turned around, and ran back to her grandpa. And at that moment, it's just like, Rick, this is life, man. Just deal with it. This is the way it's going to be. You're always going to look really different. The kids are always going to be afraid of you. Just deal with it. So she ran away, and she got back to her grandpa, and she looked at him, and she said, "Grandpa, he's really nice." And changed a lot for me. Changed a lot for me.
But
That little girl,
you overheard that.
yeah, I was, like I said, I was paying attention to everything, and the grandfather had a huge part in that. I never really have given him the credit, but yeah, he deserves a lot of that credit. He, forced his granddaughter into an uncomfortable situation, which in the end made her comfortable, which was kind of crazy. But yeah, she said he's really nice, and as soon as I heard that, it was like, and this is something that I've always thought about, but I've never really said. And Tom and I have been talking about this, but it wasn't, because we say, I lacked acceptance in the world at that point. It was the acceptance of children. When that happened, I wasn't all of a sudden accepted by every kid in the world. That's not happened. I was accepted by one. But what did happen was I accepted myself. And that's the biggest thing. Once we can accept ourselves, accept who we are, man, that's when things really change. If we're waiting for the acceptance of everyone else in this world, man, you're going to be waiting until the day you die, because it ain't happening. It's not going to happen. So that's when I accepted myself, though. And I was like, you know what? I think I can get through this. Certainly wasn't the answer to the rest of my life, but it was a part of it.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Maybe you've been, and I want to know if you've been asked this before. Do you have tear ducts? Can you cry? Have you been asked that before?
Yeah, I don't know if I've been asked if I can cry. I've been asked a lot about my eyes and a lot about the tears, but I don't know if I've been asked if I can cry. So yes, I can. And when I cry, it's very obvious because like there are no drainage. So all the tears are going down my face. And it's the same with, even when I present, my eyes get very dry because I can't close. Like, I mean, if you can see really close, this is me blinking. My eyes are not shutting. That's me blinking. Now I can blink, but what's going to happen is you can see it on my shirt. Watch, I'll close my eye. This is me blinking. And what just happened? The tears come down my face and they go down onto my shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happens when I blink, truly, truly blink. So I create tears, but they don't have anywhere to go because the drainage just does not work. So the tears sit in my eyes, and like I said, my eyes are really dry, partially because I can't close them all the way. So when I sleep, yes, if I squeeze my eyes shut, they're closed, but nobody does that when they're sleeping. It's very light. So my eyes are a little bit open and they do dry out. So then throughout the day, some mornings, like people have bad hair days. I have a bad hair day every day, unfortunately, but I have bad eye days. So some mornings my eyes are just not working the way they should. Things are really blurry because of dry. Maybe a fan was on or something like that in the night. But yeah, so the tears, if I squeeze my eyes shut, will just come down my face. And sometimes I have no choice but to do that in a presentation because like it's all just sitting there. Now I'm starting to go cross-eyed, trying to not have these tears go down, and my eyes are drying out. So I try to time it really perfectly though. So when I squeeze my eyes shut, it's a really sad part of the story, and then it looks like I'm crying, and it just adds to everything.
Do you cry? Have you cried leaving a situation where a child has just impacted you in a certain way, and you just need some time to be alone?
Not so much kids anymore. I've had a lot of those moments with adults. When even when I'm speaking to kids, in high schools and middle schools and camps and stuff, and there's always adults in the room, and I'll get a lot of feedback from the adults, and the adults come up to me and tell me that they're having really difficult situations in their life. And I say that not kids, but when I said that, I was thinking more like little kids. But yes, like high schoolers. I did a camp in Pennsylvania this summer, and it was awesome. They're just the best kids to talk to. I've done it for 10 years in a row, and 2 weeks in a row, I've had at the very end of the thing, I speak from 6:45 to 8, so an hour and 15 minutes. I don't leave there until 11 p.m. because there's so many kids lined up to talk to me, have questions, get pictures. But 2 weeks in a row, there was a different girl, because it's different kids each week, but there was a girl who waited till the very end. So 10:45 p.m., she just sat in the auditorium 2 different weeks in a row, different girl. And they both came up to me and talked to me, and they were crying because of their situation, but they got me going as well because I was in a situation that really pertained to their message that they had for me. Like, I don't, I know you waited around until 10:45 to talk to me so that I could help you, but they helped me. And it was just crazy that 2 weeks in a row, 10:45 p.m., these girls waited that whole time to talk to me, and it was something that they were dealing with, but also something that I was dealing with as well. So crazy to me how that all works out, and it was just me and them in the room at the time, and it was just amazing.
I would guess, Rick, that there are many. And you, I want to know what you have to say about this. Who would see you, hear you, and then say or think or feel, man, I can't complain to that guy about anything that's going on in my life. Nothing that I've gone through or that I'm going through could compare to what he has. So I'm not going to I'm not even going to say anything to him. Do you think that is true, and that may create some barriers at times where people just like, man, I can't even like, I can't, I would feel like crap if I complained to him that I was going through a tragedy because I got into a car accident and broke my leg, and nothing can compare to what he's gone through.
Well, I don't compare my what happened to me to anything else, and that's because like that would be silly. Um, like when an adult is like what I'm dealing with in my life right now. I'm not going to get into it right now, but it's a lot. This is harder than what I went through, and it has to do with my kids. My oldest daughter is 13. Um, this is harder than what I went through,
Wow.
almost 19 years ago. And this isn't like anything that's profound. Like people are dealing with this stuff.
Yeah.
But when I meet parents and they're dealing with their kids in certain situations in their life, and it's a lot. So I would say that what they're dealing with is worse than what I dealt with.
Wow.
So I don't. That's why I don't compare, because I can't. When a 13-year-old, says something so awful that they've been through in middle school, and I would be like, well, I was on fire and I almost died. Like, come on,
Yeah.
I can't compare to their situation. In my mind, what they went through was way more difficult than what I went through when I was 24 years old.
Sure.
So I try to make that obvious to people so that they can share. I'm not telling you that what I went through was harder than what you went through. Definitely, absolutely not, because that is not true. What you're dealing with might be a lot
Yeah.
more, and it depends on who the person is that's dealing with it.
Yeah.
That's always, how we deal with things, who we are.
It's amazing. I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm just thinking, just because you have had what happened to you, you're just not immune to any other hardship or any other situation that can come your way.
No, there is no immunity to that. We're all up for grabs with that one. Yeah, I'm thinking about that. Yeah, there is zero immunity to that. It's coming. It's happening. Like, life. I said life is good, but it's not easy. It is not easy. There are times where it feels easy, but there are going to be times where it doesn't. Yeah, we're not immune, even if we've been through it before. But knowing that, like what I said earlier, it's going to be okay, and that's what I ride on. I know, I'm not just saying it to make myself feel better. I truly do believe that. But when you're in the midst of it and you're in the middle of it and you're like, I don't know how much longer it's going to be before it's okay, it's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard for everyone. But I do believe that it will be okay. That situation. And then when that situation is okay, guess what? There's probably going to be another one coming. But at least you got through that one.
Jeez.
And that's just life. That's just life.
Tom Murphy, CEO and founder of Sweethearts and Heroes with you. The guy is he's unstoppable. He's unstoppable with his thinking process. He is never stagnant and comfortable where he is. He is always wanting to sharpen his edge, do more, be better, bring a different message, as if bringing your message to the thousands of schools that Sweethearts and Heroes has. Tom says we need to bring this message to the National Electrical Contractors Association. And Rick Yarosh is thinking, what?
I'm thinking, how do we fit into that world? But how do we fit into elementary schools? So, I mean, really, the message is hope. And in the end, I truly, at this point, I believe that we belong everywhere. Everyone is, struggling with hope at some point in their life. And, but yeah, I didn't understand it. Why are they even reaching out to us? And then, come to find out the suicide rate in the electrical contract world is incredibly high. And they need hope. This is, we've done a lot over the past couple months with them, and it's been extremely rewarding. Difficult because we still hear stories of, people taking their own life in that world. I don't think anyone that we've spoken to yet could, but that's how big that world is. There's a ton of these contractors. We need to be there. We need to be there. And we're not leaving the kids. We're not giving up on the kids. That's not who we are. We're going to continue to do that. We're just entering another realm as well.
It's amazing. I want you to, and you guys had such a profound impact and still are on those electrical contractors. What you brought to that convention was amazing, just to see and hear a little bit of it. I wish that I could have been there. But I want to shift gears and talk about your book.
Yeah.
Tell us about A Bridge Named Amos.
The easiest book I will ever write. Just a book about my dog. I mean, that's literally what it is. It's a book about my dog Amos, and super easy to write because it's all true. I mean, there's one part in the book where kids were like, "Did he really do that?" And of course, that's the only part in the book that wasn't even true, because I said that he made me go outside where the kids were to get me closer to the kids so that I could interact with them. But of course, that's the only part they ask that's true. They don't ask if like him tugging my sock off is true. No, that is true. The only part that's not is the part that they ask about.
I want to read that. It says, one day when we were at school talking to older kids, I saw little kids on the playground. I knew that I needed to get Rick outside, so I pretended that I had to go potty. Rick saw all of the little kids on the playground and tried to go outside a different way, but I wouldn't let him.
Of course, they ask every time, is that part true? Well, you got to remember, he's a dog. So, yeah, it's all from his perspective. How I wrote the book so many times from my perspective. And then, I'm not good at like throwing something away that I've done, because I put a lot of time into it and I don't want to do it again. But I was like, this just isn't right. So then I threw it away and wrote it from his perspective. But yeah, he was just the best dog. The best.
The bridge, and so many of us can relate to this, that an animal can be a bridge to so many things. It can be a bridge to others, but it can also be a bridge back to ourselves, rediscovery. This dog Amos was both, maybe.
No, he was. He made me comfortable with me. I mean, that's what the bridge is in the end. They are the tool that you need to cross. But once you're across, unless you need to go back, you don't need the bridge anymore. And I always needed Amos in some capacity, but he made me cross the bridge. And once I got over the bridge, I didn't need him for that reason anymore. So yeah, he made me accept my situation. He made me understand my situation. And he just truly was just one of the best dogs ever. Terrible service dog, but one of the best dogs ever.
Amos came into your life after this horrific accident in Iraq.
Yeah, 4 years after my injury is when I got him. So actually, I think it was about 5 years. So he came into my life, and it was a point where I wanted a dog so bad. I lived on my own. There was nobody else in my house. And I couldn't just get a dog because I traveled so much. So I couldn't get a dog that would just stay home all the time. That wouldn't work. And a regular dog couldn't travel with me. So a service dog was the answer. And he was the best service dog when I got him. I say he's a terrible service dog, but that was because of me, and I ruined him. I let every single kid in the world that wanted to pet him.
Sure.
I never said no. I can't say no. My whole job was to connect with these kids. And then right after they come up, hey, can I pet your dog? No. If I said that, I just ruined everything. So yeah, Amos he's the best. And yeah, he passed away almost a year ago now. It's hard to believe that it was almost a year ago. It was October of last year. But he was almost 14 years old, and he did his job, and he did his job well.
How are you coping with that? Is that something that, man, it was 2012 when I lost my 16-year-old
Yeah.
black lab mix, and
Best friend.
was and still is, but it's still every now and then will smack me out of the blue. God, that was so long ago, and at times kind of take my breath away. How are you coping?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. Sadly, long before he passed away, I kind of prepared myself. Like, I know he's not going to be around forever, and how am I going to get through that? I think just preparing myself a little bit for that, knowing that it was going to come eventually, just because it does to everything. That I was going to be okay, and the worst part is we do this to ourselves. We put him down at the hospital. We went to the Cornell hospital for the animals, and I take myself back to that moment way too often. I don't know why I do that, because I have a many memories of every single day he was alive, but for some reason I go back to that one single day where we took him away.
Same here.
Yeah, I don't know why I do that. So that part is really hard. Like, makes me want to cry right now. Just like laying there with him on the floor and petting him and giving him his last treats.
Yeah.
Super, super freaking hard to think about that. But, again, he served his purpose, and he was tired, and he was hurting. He was having a hard time walking. And, in the end, the right decision was made.
Yeah. You guys have, here we are, school is starting up for so many kids everywhere across our nation. And you guys have a schedule and a calendar that is borderlining ridiculous.
Especially now that we're entering this new world of the electrical contractors.
Yeah. Because Tom apparently didn't think you guys were busy enough.
Uh-huh.
You're going to be running around, going to so many schools. You're going to be empowering children to think differently, to be better versions of themselves, to interact with not only other teachers and maybe their parents and siblings in a different way, but also other students, and also students who I know you guys really push the whole bullying thing, but students who may not reciprocate the same kind of respect and way of thinking that someone with good intentions is. And you guys are really empowering children of all ages to just think differently and respond and react to things in a better way. That is so huge for Sweethearts and Heroes. That's so massive for what you guys are doing.
Kids, people, not even just kids, that's who our focus is, sure. But kids need help. People need help. And, like I say, life is good. It's not always easy. And when it's not easy, we need people around us. And, part of it is, not being afraid to share what you're dealing with. That's one thing. And that's a crazy world that we're living in with the adults,
Yeah.
The older kids,
Sure.
those, or not the older kids, but the adults, sharing things that you're dealing with other people. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, you have to, especially if it's something really, really difficult, because I don't know if you're going to get through all that stuff on your own. You need people in your life. So yeah, these kids are going to understand what other kids are dealing with. That's empathy, putting themselves in their shoes. And once they do that and they can build a connection with those other kids, then they can help each other. And that reward is awesome.
Gonna give yeah, go ahead. Continue.
And at the world focused on that stuff, like, man, the reward is helping other people. I'm telling you right now, the feeling is amazing when we do that. But when we're self-centered and the reward is what we can do for ourselves, and there is some of that in there. Like, yes, you get a lot out of it, but if it's just that, then what is it? Like, I don't know. There's so much self-centeredness in this world, um, and once we start doing stuff for other people, I'm telling you, it does something for you too, and it feels so good.
Yeah, it's infectious.
It
Um,
is.
I'm on your Facebook page right now for Sweethearts and Heroes, and it says your
Yeah.
mission is simple: to ignite empathy, empower bystanders, and cultivate compassionate leaders. Through our
Yeah.
life-saving message of hope, we equip individuals with the tools and strategies to jump into action and be the difference that the world needs. That's huge, man.
That is huge. There's zero chance I'm the one that wrote that. There's way too much big stuff in there. People always ask us, "What do you guys do?" And I'm like, "Oh man, well, I give hope to people, and they give hope to me." I have a hard time describing what we do because there's so much to it.
Yeah.
It's simple in the end because that is what we do, but there's so much more to it than just giving hope.
Yeah. My little girl was so excited when she met you and Tom. And we should give a shout out to Wells River Chevrolet that has helped bring you guys to so many schools in the Upper Valley, including my daughter's school. And when she came home and was like, Dad, I had the best, because we always say, did you have a good day? Yes or no? What was good about it? What wasn't so good about it? How can we do things differently? And how was your day? I had the best day. This guy came out and he was feeding us marshmallows and we had to do the alphabet backwards. And there was this guy there and he was all burned and it was a great day. And I'm like,
What happened?
what? What the hell's going on? You guys just had such an impact, man.
That's what we do. I mean, it's it's entertainment too. We entertain them. We have fun with them. We make them comfortable. I mean, that's a recipe for success right there. And guess what? In the middle mix of all of those things, the entertaining and having fun and connecting, there's a really good lesson in there too. And that's how you get the lesson across is you got to be able to do those other things or they're not, you can have a great lesson. But if you don't know how to deliver it to them, then we need kids to go home and say, "This was an amazing day. It was so much fun."
Yeah.
When that happens, that's when they learn the most.
Sure. I say it every time. If your child's school is not yet connected with Sweethearts and Heroes, please don't wait. Get on sweetheartsandheroes.com. Email info@sweetheartsandheroes.com. I'm not sure if what your schedule's like. I know it's crazy, but don't wait on this. If you or someone you know is a teacher, an administrator, or involved in any way, shape, or manner with a local school anywhere, actually in Vermont or beyond, please get in touch with them. sweetheartsandheroes.com. Sergeant Rick Yarosh, my guest this morning, and more importantly, my friend. I am so blessed by you guys. I said to Heather, and I've said to others, my dream is to have a circle amongst just the Sweethearts and Heroes family and myself, and live stream it.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be something else, though?
And don't, yeah, it would be something else. Don't put yourself in that state. You said the Sweethearts and Heroes family and myself. You are a part of that Sweethearts and Heroes family. So don't exclude yourself like that. You're a part of this organization. You're doing just as much as we are by helping us share our message and taking your time to do this with us, JD.
Buddy, thank you ever so much. I can't wait to see you again. I don't know when or where. I'm still hoping that I might get an invite from Tom to attend one of these school functions where I can actually see what I've been and experience in person what I've been hearing about for so long. Do you think Tom will put me on the invite list one of these days?
I think you could probably do that. We'll try to avoid New York though, so you don't have trouble getting over the ferry again. Um, we don't want you to have issues with that, so we'll do something a little closer to home for you,
Buddy, I love you, and I mean that.
love you back, man.
And I appreciate you so much for coming on this morning again.
Absolutely, anytime. I love it. They were like, oh, hey Rick, never mind, you don't have to do it today. We know you're on vacation. I said no, I want to do it, so I look forward to it, JD. I really do.
Thanks, brother.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful rest of your day. Big hugs to you, man.
You as well.